everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Lead and Learn with Occupational Health and Safety. My name is Amu Mulema. Thank you guys for joining me so much. Thank you guys for joining me on another episode. Thank you guys for all the subscribers. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the likes that I've been getting. It really means a lot to me, guys. I really do appreciate it. And please let us continue the subscription. Let's continue spreading the word. Let others know. Spread the word, guys. Let your friends tell your friends know to subscribe to this channel, to watch the videos, and to like and to comment. Guys, let me know what's going on. Please just let me know what's going on in the comment section. Comments, what do you guys want to talk about? What are you guys struggling with mostly in the workplace? So that we can address it on this channel. I mean, this is what the channel is for, is to address workplace stressors. So guys, yeah, let's jump right into today's episode. We're going to talk about legal appointments in the workplace. Now remember, guys, I'm from a construction industry, so meaning that most of the legal appointments that I do know are from construction, right? So I do also know about other legal appointments in different sections of the act and different regulations as well, but most of them are going to be from construction regulation. In fact, construction regulation has the most legal appointments, but also other regulations do touch up on appointments, which are just supporting appointments for a workplace or for construction, basically. But most of them are from the construction regulation. So guys, let's jump right into it. I'm going to start with the first one, the 16-1 appointment. 16-1 is usually the CEO of the company or the owner of the company. So he's a 16-1. He just does one appointment and never again. So he does one appointment, and it's not usually an appointment, but it's just a declaration that I am the 16-1, and he signs, and that is it. Because nobody appoints a CEO, right? It's usually just a declaration that I am the 16-1 and a sign and a date, and that's all. And then the next one that we're going to jump into would be the 16.2. 16.2 would be the delegate of the owner of the company. Usually it would be the project manager, the construction manager, but it's the delegate of the owner of the company, of the CEO. So the 16.2, he's the most important, I would say. He's the most important, most liable, most responsible person. Actually, have you ever seen a 16.2 legal appointment? It's literally 2 pages long. It's very long because, I mean, he's got the most responsibilities on site. He is the most liable person on the site. That's the 16.2, and it's found in section 16 of the Occupational Health and Safety Act, not the regulation, the act, right? And usually that is the project manager, a project manager, not a construction manager only, but a project manager in any regard. Could be construction, could be even just events organizing, could be basically anything, but as long as the project is under him, then he is the project manager. It's not necessarily only construction, it's any kind of workplace. Okay, so meaning that from the act we get 2 appointments. We get the 16.1 and the 16.2, right? That's from the act. And then from the construction regulation we get the 8.1. Now the 8.1 is the construction project manager. We'll talk about the difference between the 8.1 and the 16.2 just now. But the 8.1 is a construction project manager who is also found in construction regulation 8 section 1. Oh, construction regulation 8.1. Yeah, girl. Yeah, so that's the construction project manager. Now, what's the difference between the two? The difference between the the 16.2 and the 8.1. This is number one, it's where they are found. One is found in the act, one is found in the construction regulation. Number two, one is a project manager, one is a construction project manager, meaning that one, it's a company, right? A construction company can have a project manager and a construction project manager. So usually site agents or site construction managers are the 8.1s, and then a project manager who's a 16.2 would be one overlooking all of the projects. Say maybe a company has 4 or 5 projects, so the project manager will be in charge of all 4 or 5 projects, whereas the 8.1 is only in charge of the one project. He can only be appointed for the one project. Okay, so that's the difference between the 16.2 and the 8.1. One, it's a site agent and a project manager. Usually one reports to the other. Okay, and then after the 8.1 would be the 8.2 is the assistant construction manager. Assistant construction manager would be a person who assists the site agent, who reports to the site agent, also found in the construction regulation 8.2. And then after that we have the 8.5, who is us. The 8.5 is the safety officer. It's also a legal obligation, guys. Don't forget, safety officer is a legal requirement. Comes with a legal appointment, section 8.5 of the legal appointment. Now the boring part, or the one thing that I don't like about the section 8.5, it says that the 8.5 needs to be registered. Why is the 8.5 the only person that needs to be registered with the SACPCMP? Now this is a council for project managers. In fact, this is a council for construction project managers. Okay, but a safety officer is literally the only person who has to be registered. It doesn't say, the regulation doesn't say anything about the site agent being registered or the foreman being registered. It only says the safety officer has to be registered. But once again, we'll jump into that SACPCMP topic in another video, because like I said, it's a whole video on its own. So yeah. Okay, and then after the 8.5 is the construction supervisor, who usually is our foreman, is the 8.7. He's the 8.7 who's usually our foreman on site, and also found the construction regulation. And then after that we get the 8.8, who is the assistant to the foreman. Now assistant to foreman would usually be team leaders. You know, we get different teams, different sections are doing different things, and if they're doing different things, we obviously need to appoint a team leader for whatever they're doing. And foreman would usually suggest who is the prescribed person to be appointed as his assistant construction supervisor / team leader, in charge of just this team. Whereas the foreman, he's also in charge of the entire project, just like the 8.1. So the 8.1 and the 8.7. Okay, now the difference between the 8.1 and the 8.7, in my opinion, is that the 8.1 is in charge of the entire project, right? The whole project, meaning the legal aspects of it and the practical aspects of it. And then the foreman, the 8.7, he's in charge of basically the practical aspect of it. He's in charge of making sure that, actually the act says that he's in charge of making sure that work is being done safely. And this one is said, and the 8.1 says work is being done safely and also ensuring legal compliance. You see, so that's the difference between the two. But usually there are people that work very hand in hand with each other, as they have one goal: to finish this project. Usually the foreman would report to the construction project manager, the 8.1. Okay, now with legal appointments, right, with these kind of legal appointments, we also have people that can be appointed for more than one site. We have people that cannot be appointed for more than one site. The 8.1, the construction project manager, cannot be appointed for more than one site. The 8.1 and the 8.7 cannot be appointed for more than one site. They are actually in charge. The regulation says they are in charge of only one site and cannot be appointed for any other site. Okay, only one site. That is obviously the 8.1 and his assistant, the 8.7 and his assistant as well. They cannot be appointed for any other site. Whereas the 8.5, who is us, the safety officer, can be appointed for many different sites. Yes, the safety officer can be appointed for many different sites, but I'll let you guys know why in just a minute. Okay, so now that's like supervision in a construction project, in a construction project, or in a workplace. That would be the supervision. Now we're going to jump into the essential appointments. Essential appointments would say, in my opinion, are legal appointments that are important to have in every kind of workplace, not just construction, but any kind of a workplace. Meaning, even if it's office based, I know we have safety officers in the office environment. There are essential legal appointments that need to also follow up within that type of a workplace. Now, I would say it's the first aider that you find in the General Safety Regulation 3, a firefighter that you find in Construction Regulation 29. Even in the times that we're living in, a COVID coordinator. Now, your COVID coordinator would be somebody who's in charge of ensuring that you have a COVID register, that we have sanitizing in place, we have hand washing in place, we are all wearing masks, and masks are issued. If not issued, at least everybody's got a mask. Basically somebody who's in charge of ensuring that COVID control is taking place in the workplace. Okay guys, so another essential appointment would be your emergency response coordinator. Emergency response coordinator would be somebody who, in the case of an emergency, ensures a safe evacuation procedure occurs, ensures that you guys are all assembled at the assembly area, and also this person would be responsible for drawing up the emergency response plan in the case of an emergency. So, and also remember another thing about the emergency response plan, it's site-based, okay? So he's also quite essential in any kind of a workspace. So even in an office environment, you would find such. The next one would be your SHE-rep. A SHE-rep also is found in any kind of a workspace. Now, this is section 17 of the Occupational Health and Safety. What I was saying to you earlier on, that we're going to talk about it later, as to why the safety officer can be appointed for many different projects. But a SHE-rep reports to a safety officer, and a SHE-rep is only for one project. He's nominated, appointed, and works there, right? In only one project. You cannot have a SHE-rep for different projects. You only have one SHE-rep for one project. Okay, and like I said, the SHE-rep section 17 of the Occupational Health and Safety Act is also an essential appointment. Can be found in any kind of a workplace or office or construction or factory or any other kind of a workspace. And then I would also say the risk assessor, because risks are found everywhere. Even in your house there's a risk, okay? So risks are found everywhere, and hence I say, in my opinion, that a risk assessor is an essential appointment, because he needs to identify risks, he needs to control those risks, a risk assessor. So that's why I would say that they fall under any kind of workspace, because risks are literally found everywhere, and they have to do the HIRA on every workplace. Now, the next kind of appointments that we're going to get into are task-specific appointments. By task-specific, I mean that it depends what kind of work environment you're in. It also depends on the kind of job you're doing. It just depends on, the space that you are in. I mean, for example, let's just jump right into it, just so you can get to understand what I'm talking about. Now, the first one would be an excavation supervisor and an excavation inspector. Now, these people, when you're having excavations on site, that is when you will need an excavation supervisor and an excavation inspector. This is now found in Construction Regulation 13. The next one would be a temporary works supervisor and inspector, also found in section 12 of the Construction Regulation. And the next one would be a demolition work supervisor and a demolition work inspector, found in section 14 of the construction regulation. Remember, I did say that most of our legal appointments are found in the construction regulation. Some, yes, are also found in other sections of the act, but mostly we find in the construction regulation has the most legal appointments. The next one would be our scaffolding. Our scaffold has a supervisor, an inspector, and an erector. Okay, so you have to get a scaffold supervisor, scaffold erector, scaffold inspector. Usually, guys, the inspectors, your demolition work inspector, your scaffold inspector, your excavation inspector would be the safety officers. Okay, the safety officer, you can appoint them as the inspectors. And then the supervisors, you can appoint them as the foreman or the team leader. Maybe there's a different team doing excavations. Maybe there's a different team doing scaffolding. There's a different team doing the demolition. The team leaders, you can appoint them as the supervisors, or you could appoint your foreman. But legally would actually be the foreman, because remember, he's in charge of all the practical work on site. But just for help and assistance, you can also appoint the team leader, the 8.8, as those tasks supervisors. Okay, and then let's jump right into the next one we'll have is the temporary work electrical installations controller, supervisor, and inspector. Okay, so temporary electrical installations. Now remember, when we are on a construction site, there's basically, maybe in the beginning phases, there's no electricity. So every type of electricity that we have is temporary electricity. This temporary electricity has to be installed by a competent person who's got a license from Department of Labor. Okay, not only do they install, but they also leave us with a COC. So this person is actually quite it has to be quite a competent person. You know, you cannot just appoint anybody. This is a kind of appointment that includes, like, you would probably source them out. So you probably get an electrician to come and like do a temporary DB on site. This person has to leave you with a COC. Leaving you with a COC that has his name on it means that you have to appoint him as the temporary electricals installations supervisor, inspector, and then maybe the foreman as the controller, right? Because now he just installed the temporal DB for you guys, and he left you with the COC. So if anything can happen on site, he is in charge. And remember that the competency for this guy would be a license from the Department of Labor, a wireman's license or electrical license from the Department of Labor, or a wireman's license from the Department of Labor. That's the competency that he will need for him to be appointed as that temporal electrical installations guy. And then the next one would be a suspended platform supervisor and inspector, a machinery supervisor, and subordinate of the supervisor. So the machinery supervisor would be found in the GMR, General Machineries Regulation 2. Right, he's the supervisor and he's subordinate. And then the next one would be the traffic controller. The traffic controller could also could be found in the construction regulation 23. That's where the traffic controller, I usually call him the flagsman. So either the flagsman or the traffic controller. And mind you, this is a traffic controller, not a traffic controller inside, not a traffic controller outside of the construction space. Okay, so meaning that this person cannot go and practice his appointment outside of the construction space, only within the construction space. Okay, so yeah, that would be the traffic controller / flagsman. And a competency for this guy would be an informal training. They don't need a a formal training to be a flagsman, because remember, you as a safety officer could give them informal training. You could give them you could actually just read to them the traffic plan. Remember your traffic management plan on site? You could read to them the traffic management plan, and you can give them an informal training on that, and then they ensure and implement the traffic management plan on site. Your driven machinery inspector would be found in the DMR 18. DMR 18. This now goes with the lifting tackle inspector, the lifting tackle supervisor, and the lifting equipment operator. Yes, all found in the DMR 18 of the occupational health. DMR 18 is driven machineries regulation 18. Yeah. Okay, and then the next one would be a ladder inspector. A ladder inspector is found in the General Safety Regulation 13. Ladder inspector, also no formal training, just a safety officer could give the ladder inspector just some safe work procedures, some method statements on how this could be used, how this is used safely, how to know, how to inspect it, how to know when it's not right. And I mean, any eye can see when a step ladder is broken and not functioning, right? So there is no formal training for a step ladder inspection, except for the informal training by the safety officer, and then you appoint your ladder inspector. Okay, and then the next one would be our construction vehicles and mobile plant operator and inspector. Okay, construction vehicle is a construction vehicle and mobile plants. That would include the operator and the inspector. Remember what I said about the inspector? Usually the inspector would be you as the safety officer. You are the one who's inspecting the construction vehicles. You are the one who's inspecting. Okay, the operators are doing their own inspections on a daily. And then you also could come and do your inspections with them, either on a weekly or on a daily, but never more than a monthly. Like you can't do it every month or every bi-weekly. No, try to do it weekly, because anything can happen anytime. Vehicles can break down anytime, and they will not even tell you. They will try to hide it as much as they can. So it's your duty to make sure that you do your inspections every week or every bi-weekly, to ensure that whatever report that was given last week is still in place, or any new findings that you're making are being reported. Okay, and the construction vehicle inspector and operator is found under the Construction Regulation 23. Okay. So the next one would be an explosive power tool. Explosive power tool. Now the explosive power tool, guys. The explosive power tool is, I think this is the one that's got the most appointments. For this one tool, there is the most. I think there's like 4 or 5 appointments. Okay. So the explosive power tool has the explosive power tool inspector, which is you, the safety officer. There's the controller. Explosive power tool controller, which I would assume would be the foreman on site. The foreman on site would be the explosive power tool controller. Then you have the operator, the person who's operating the power tool. You've got the issuer, okay, the person who's issuing the cartridges. Explosive power tools use cartridges. Explosive power tools need a person designated to issue those power tools, to issue those explosive power tools, because remember, this is explosives. It's explosives in a very miniature form. So hence it's it's got a whole lot of appointments, because it's usually quite a very small little bomb. Yeah, actually it is. It's quite a small, tiny little bomb in the form of a tiny little bullet. But yeah, anyway, so there's the cartridge issuer, the explosive power tool cartridge issuer, and then there's also the explosive power tool discharger or discard. Oh yes, the explosive power tool discarder. right? Meaning somebody who's responsible for discarding it in a safe manner, of throwing it away in a safe manner. Yes. So that's like 5 appointments for the explosive power tool, because well, remember the explosive power tool, guys, and also remember now the training for this explosive power tool, it's not a formal training, it's an informal training by the supplier. So if you're getting your power tool from, I don't know, any supplier that you're using, just request an informal training from the supplier. Let them teach the guys how to use it, teach the guys how to issue the cartridges and how to discard of the cartridges, because you don't just throw this in the dustbin. This is one of takes us back to our environmental management plan. So you don't just discard of this, you don't just throw it away, you discard it the right way, the prescribed way, as the way that your supplier would have told you. So the competency for this would be the informal training from the supplier. Okay. And then another one would be your appointment, a task specific appointment would be your material hoist inspector and material hoist supervisor. This is found now in construction 19 of the construction, in section 19 of the construction regulation. Regulation 19, it's actually called regulation 19. Yeah, so it's going to be found in regulation 19 of your construction regulation. Material hoist supervisor and material hoist operator. Operator would be, now your material hoist operator would be the person operating the construction plant. Yeah, the plant. If you've got a TLB, if you've got a crane, if you've got a forklift, if you've got an excavator, the person who would be hoisting the materials. Oh, also if you've got a material hoist in a form of a lift, if you've got something like that, yes, the person who's operating that lift or operating that TLB, excavator, those people, you could appoint them as the material hoist operators. And then your material hoist inspector, you as the safety officer or the SHE-rep, you are responsible for being the inspector. And then there's the bulk mixing plant, the operator and the supervisor. Bulk mixing plant operator and supervisor, also found in the construction regulation. I think it's construction regulation 20. I'm so sorry, I don't remember this section, but I think it's 20. This is weird. This is weird.
Well, isn't it weird?
Section 20 of the Act, your bulk mixing plant operator and supervisor also needs to have some sort of training. This one needs actually a formal training. So you need formal training with an institute and a certificate number, because remember bulk mixing or bulk services can come in any size, could come in small size, which is be like your manual cement mixer, or could come in the huge size, which could be our trucks, which could be our bulk mixing trucks, our cement mixing trucks. So it could come in any big size. In fact, I've seen actually some factories have huge bulk mixing machines, huge, even bigger than the trucks. Okay, so in that case you would literally need a formal training, not informal. You need a formal training that has a certificate number and SAQA approved, I guess. Yeah, so bulk mixing actually needs a formal training. And then now these next ones, I think they're good to have, but they are also, they are task specific, but they're still good to have. Your hand tool inspector. Hand tool inspector, it's not anywhere in the construction regulation. It doesn't say appoint a hand tool inspector, but it is a good to have practice. So it's good to every now and then appoint a hand tool inspector. Hand tool inspector would be yourself being the safety officer or SHE-rep, or it would also be the foreman. The foreman also can be appointed as the hand tool inspector, which is a good to have. It's not any it's not a legal appointment. And then also a sanitation inspector. Sanitation inspector also just takes us back to housekeeping, takes us back to housekeeping and hygiene, sanitation. Also a good to have. Also by you, the safety officer or by the safety rep. You need to ensure that somebody is appointed to ensure good housekeeping, good sanitation, good hygiene within the workspace. Meaning, so you can appoint either the cleaners or the general workers, and there's no formal training for this. This would be you giving informal training to the inspectors or the coordinators. Yeah, by the way, in this case it's a sanitation coordinator, a housekeeping coordinator, or a hygiene coordinator. Okay, it's not an inspector or operator or anything. It's a coordinator. Let's leave it at coordinator. Okay. Oh, are you serious, dude?
I am serious.
Okay, girl. All right. Shh. Okay, and the next one would be your hazardous chemical substances controller or coordinator. This one is found in the hazardous chemical substance regulation. Also, if you're going to make that appointment, I would say they don't need any formal training. They just need a training on the MSDSs of the chemicals, because remember, excuse me, but remember, an MSDS gives you all the information that you need on this hazardous chemical. So if you could read the MSDS to whoever you're going to be appointing, read it to them, make sure they understand, and always look for the person who is the hazardous chemical controller or the hazardous chemical substance coordinator. Okay, and then the next one would be your flame cutting or welding supervisor. If we have any welding on site, you would need the supervisor and the operator. Okay, and then we also remember, guys, with welding you need a hot work permit, so always remember that the supervisor would be liable to have a hot work permit. Ne? Cool. Then the next one, a fall protection planner or a fall protection supervisor. Fall protection planner or supervisor. You can appoint a supervisor. Now remember, the planner has to have formal training with the NQF number. Remember, I think if some of you guys have done fall protection plan, they will actually even teach you that this is the only NQF number that applies. If your certificate number says fall protection, if your certificate says fall protection plan and has a different NQF number, then it is not applicable. But the NQF number for fall protection plan has to be, it's specific. I just don't remember the number, but it's actually quite specific and generic throughout the country. I actually remember this because one time some guy, I think he forged a certificate and said he's a fall protection certificate, but the NQF number was completely different. And because of that, it made us have to disqualify the guy. Yeah. Fall protection planner has to come with a competency of the correct NQF number. I think you guys can just look it up, as I don't remember it. I don't know it off by heart. And then the fall protection supervisor. Fall protection supervisor can be the foreman or the person who's responsible for working on heights. In fact, the team leader of the team of people who are responsible for working on heights. Okay, so in this case, right, the fall protection supervisor doesn't need any type of competency. All he needs is a communication, or for you to read out the plan, the fall protection plan, to him, so that he understands it, he knows how to implement it, and also he knows how to implement the rescue plan, okay? And yeah, that would be all on the fall protection planner and the fall protection supervisor. So, and those are two different people for those two appointments. And then the next one would be our lifting equipment inspector. Lifting equipment inspector, or lifting equipment supervisor, and lifting equipment operator. This now takes us back to the material hoist. It's like, but not quite the same. But it's almost similar, but not quite the same. Lifting equipment would be maybe using a chain sling or a rope sling, or using so anyway, that the lifting equipment would need an inspector, an operator, and a supervisor. Inspector, once again, it is you as the safety personnel, being the safety officer or safety rep. And guys, yeah, like I said, guys, that actually concludes our topic for today. Thank you for joining me, guys, and I hope you learned a thing or two about legal appointments. Remember, these are not all the legal appointments that are needed. Some of them you don't need them at the time. And also keep updating your legal appointments as you go. You don't have to have all the legal appointments at once or at one go. You just keep updating your legal appointments as you go. This is so that you keep you just keep on par, is that you have all your legal appointments in order. Because you know what, if you don't have legal appointments in order, guys, you can fail a safety audit by the client or by the inspector. You can fail a safety audit just for not having one legal appointment, even though you've got the guy doing something on site. But put it down on paper. Put it down on paper with 2 signatures and 2 dates, with a title, and everything must be, and the right competency as well. You know, this way you are just ensuring legal compliance for when inspectors come on site. And then another important thing, guys, that I would actually like to advise you on is to have a legal appointment register, right? So a legal appointment register would be something like literally a 1-pager, just jotting down all the legal appointments that you have, the names of the people, and the dates of the appointments. That way you can keep track of your legal appointments, and you know who's appointed as what. Even when the inspector comes on site, you don't have to be going through the file looking for this legal appointment, but actually you can just let him know that, this appointment is this guy, was signed on this date. If it doesn't have a date, then you know it was not signed. Okay. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope there was some understanding. If you guys have more legal appointments that you guys have heard of that I didn't mention, I know there are thousands of legal appointments that I didn't mention, but there are tons of legal appointments. These are just some legal appointments that could assist you in your workplace, in your appointments, in your safety files. So always ensure that you have your legal appointments at hand in the safety file. And then I hope, guys, you really enjoyed this. I hope you learned a thing or two. More than anything, I really hope you learned a thing. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your time. And please, guys, remember to subscribe to the channel. Please like the videos, comment in the comment sections. What do you want to hear? What do you want us to talk about? What is interesting? What is not so interesting for you? Like the video. Do not dislike the videos, okay? Like the videos. But anyway, don't forget to hit the subscribe button over there. Subscribe to the channel, guys, and thank you for watching. Until next time, bye.